Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Alex and welcome to episode 2 of the Stop Being Busy podcast. So yes, I can breathe again this week. Last week, hay fever, cold, don't even know what it was. It was completely destroying me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe through my nose anyway. Everything was just a bit of a challenge. I couldn't do any sports. I was a bit of a mess really, but yeah, I'm back now. It's all good. The weather's not as... Actually, it's been quite warm. Last couple of days in London, it's been sunny. It's a bit overcast today, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, I hope you've had a good week. If you tuned into last week's podcast, I was just talking about what Stop Being Busy is all about, what Stop Being Busy means to me, why I started the podcast. So I hope you got a good flavour about what I'm going to be talking about, where I'm going to be going with this podcast. But this week, I want to move on something I spoke about a little bit last week, and it's about contracting, the art of contracting and freelancing. Yes, it's a topic that is discussed quite a lot with my friends group. A few of them do contract, a few of my friends do contract, a few don't. I'm going to get into reasons why they don't or why they haven't or tried or whatever. I'll get there in a bit. But before I do that, I need to do a bit of self-promo for myself. I'm a bit bad at doing this, but yeah, I'm going to get better. So if you want me to cover anything in particular, so within my field, so being a dad, health and fitness, or contracting, freelancing, then make sure you send me a message on TikTok. So you can find me on Stop Being Busy, all one word, Stop Being Busy. I'm on TikTok. Yeah, that's the best place to get in touch with me at the moment. I'm not using Instagram for the mo. I'm just focusing on TikTok. I'm trying to get in touch with the younger me. Joking. But yeah, it's really good. I know it's really good for awareness and just outreach. So that's the platform I've decided to use for that. So yeah, this week's topic. So I've contracted now for the last 5 years. I mentioned last week I started contracting because I wanted to go traveling. My wife, fiance at the time, was given a sabbatical from her job. We wanted to go traveling. I needed to make money, so decided to start contracting. A friend really helped me, push me in the right direction, giving me my first big break, which I'm really thankful for. And that opened to my eyes to what contracting is all about. But what I really want to get into today is, like I just mentioned, is I think there's a lot of more pros than cons to contracting. Yeah, there are definitely some cons, and a lot of them you do learn over time with contracting. So for example, should you use an accountant or not? How do you pay your taxes? How much should you be saving for your taxes? Should you be operating as a sole trader? Do you want to be operating as a limited company? How much do you pay yourself? Are you going to take jobs that are inside or outside IR35? So there are lots of things. And when you start, you don't really know about them. You don't know, you just think, I'm going to get a job and that's it, I'm going to get paid. But there's actually a lot of things that you do need to consider. They're not that difficult. You can find resources online, or you can just talk to a financial advisor or your accountant. They'll help guide you through the process as well. It's really not that difficult. It's just literally, you need to put the effort in. I mentioned this last week. What you put in is what you get out. You need to put the effort in, especially as it's affecting you and potentially affecting your career and your options. So when I normally talk to people about contracting, friends, family, people that I meet at networking events, people I meet just out and about, and they just say, what do you do? And I tell them I work in analytics, but I contract. So there's what is a typical contract? A question that normally comes up is, what does a typical contract look like? So for me, I tend to go for contracts that are no shorter than 3 months, just to have a bit of stability. And it's not even about the stability. I need a bit of time, obviously, to understand what needs to be done, understand the business function, understand where the data, because I'm a data analyst, understand where the data is coming from, the context of the data, and then moving on, how I can actually then impact the outputs with my knowledge and experience as well. So it takes a bit of time to do that. I normally find it takes around 4 to 6 weeks to really understand how the company's working, how the data's being pulled, and how I can start to make an impact. Honestly, if you do go down a contracting route, don't think you need to go in at day one and just hit the ground running, because honestly, that's not the way that it works. That's not reality, and that doesn't work in any job that you go into. Wouldn't be like that. Even if you look at, I know this is completely left, but if you look at pro footballers, with the exception of one or two, when a big footballer moves to another club, it normally takes them a couple of games before they get into their real flow. It could even take a season. Do you know what I mean? So don't put pressure on yourself if you do go down the route. It does take a bit of time to get up to speed. But anyway, so I say I normally contract for about 3 months. If the contract's longer, then I may consider taking it, especially if it's in industry or a company that I rate, that I look up to, that I think's pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, I would like to learn there and grow there as well. So a contract length can vary basically. So anything from 3 months up. And then the conversation normally goes down this way. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. Talk about their role. And then I say, would you ever consider contracting? And usually it's like, no, I couldn't do that. And there are usually 5 objections that I normally get. So I'll just run through them quickly, and then I'm going to go into them a bit more detail. So the first one is there is no job security. Second one, I'm comfortable being comfortable. The third one, there is too much risk. Next up, what will my partner or family think if I quit my perm job to take on a contract or freelance role and I don't know where to start? So I'm going to try and demystify all of these, because they can easily be overcome. And I think, I don't know, people's perceptions on what contract and freelancing really is a bit skewed. So starting at the top, there is no job security. For me personally, I think this is the biggest misconception about contracting, and it's something that my friend mentioned to me, and the one that actually helped me get into contracted said to me at the time. So I said this to him when he said, Alex, why didn't you contract? And I was like, oh, no job security. And his response was, well, at any one point you could lose your permanent job as well. So what's the difference? Why wouldn't you go out and make more money while you can, learn more while you can, and develop your career that way? And that really got me thinking. So what I've noticed, or what I've realized, for me in particular, as a contractor, is I've learned so much more in a short space of time by having the ability to move around to different companies. So yes, the job security isn't there in the sense of my contracts last 3 to 12 months. A lot of the terms on the contract could be at any given time we can end the contract and you will cease working within 7 to 30 days. It depends on the type of the contract and the details of the contract. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. What I've noticed is, what we all saw during the pandemic is a lot of people were laid off. A lot of people were then struggling to find ways to find opportunities, find work. They didn't really know what direction to go in when they lost their job. And I would say being a contractor, it gives you the skills to be more adaptable, develop a thick skin, develop your interview skills, develop all of the things that you really need to get a new job. So if you've been in, what I found is when I was in a perm role, my last perm role before I went over contracting, I was in it for about 3 years. And before that I was in a role for, I guess it was 3 years again as well. And each time I was interviewing, they were so difficult. I really struggled in the interview process. But now, because I interview all the time, I actually enjoy the interview process. And a lot of the time, because I'm looking for new contracts all the time, I can pretty much tell within the first 5 or 10 minutes during an interview if I'm going to be progressed to the last role or if I'm going to be given an offer. Because in a lot of cases in contract opportunities, it's 1 round interviews. You do the interview. Sometimes there's not even a technical in there as well. Some depend on the role. Some they do have technical tests, but it could be 1 round. and then you're starting. Say the interview's on a Wednesday, you're starting on the following Monday. So that's it. It's great practice for interviewing. So for me, I think it increases your job security because it makes you a better candidate for a role moving forward. So even if you wanted to go back into a perm role, you're really good at interviewing. You've interviewed a lot, and it just gives you the skills you need to make those changes. Next one, I'm comfortable being comfortable. So we've all been here. You've got a very good salary or decent salary. You know it's coming on, say, the last week of the month or the first week of the month. It's always coming. That check is always going to hit your bank account. You know there are days, I know some of us, we literally work as hard as we can. Some of us don't. You know, even if you don't work that hard or you need to take some sick days, you're still going to get the same check paid as well. And you also know, for example, if you continue working, you do your reviews, there may be a chance of getting that promotion or bonus that you've been promised. Now, I've definitely been caught in this trap before. You never really know what the financials or financial situation of a business is. So, for example, at the beginning or middle of the financial year, everything may be performing well. You know, when you do your quarterly checkups, and then you have your reviews, and they're told, yep, you're on target to hit this for this promotion. You're on target to receive this bonus. And then bonus season comes around, and you get a letter saying, unfortunately, due to company performance, we won't be given a promotion this month, this year, not even month, this year. Or if you do get one, it's a lot lower than you expected it to be. Me personally, I would rather be a little bit more uncomfortable moving around as a contractor, working in companies that I want to work in, increasing my day rates. I'm earning what I believe I am worth, rather than waiting for 9-12 months for something that's promised that you don't actually get. I think you can learn a lot more by literally taking the responsibility for your pay yourself. Because you can't really control if you're really going to get that promotion or bonus at all. You might get it. A lot of my friends working in corporate roles, they're doing really well. They do get promotions and they do get their bonuses like every year. But what it does hold them back up on is potentially moving to another company where they could increase their salary by, say, 10 to 30%, depending on what the role is and where they're moving. With an increased bonus as well, and literally because they've been promised it in their current role. So there's lots of things about being comfortable, which again can slow down your career. And as I always say, you only live once. We literally need to, especially with prices and everything going up, you need to be as active. I think you need to be as active and proactive with your career as possible. Next one. So there is too much risk. And this is again looking at your finances. So linked to the previous one, yes, there definitely is risk. Being a contractor, like I said, your contract could be terminated at any point. It could be because you're underperforming, but there could be a variety of reasons which have nothing to do with you. Company could absolutely love you, but in that particular moment, they're just unable to continue the contract. That's just the way that it is. And you need to accept that if you're going to go down the route of being a contractor or freelancer. But there is a benefit, there's a payoff. So because you can work for increased day rates, you can potentially earn what you'd earn in a year. Let's just say a number, 50,000. So you earn 50 grand in a year, right? And that's in a permanent role. As a contractor, you could potentially earn that 50,000 in 6 months, which means you have the option. You could either go and take another, obviously it depends on your skills, your skill level and what you do as well. But these are just example numbers. So you could earn 50 grand in 6 months, and then you have an option. You could either take 6 months off. So if you've got a child, spend that time with your child, spend that time with your parents. You could spend the money that you've earned and go traveling for a month or 2 months. And then you have the luxury of deciding if you want to go back into work and then just top up again. So by the end of the year, you've actually if you've planned it well, you've actually earned more than you would have earned. You've had more time off, and you've been able to literally plan your time around yourself, rather than I have to go to work a 9 to 5 every day, a few days commuting or traveling into wherever you need to travel into to do my job. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my job. It's just not the way that I personally want to live my life anymore, and that's why I've decided to become a contractor. It is a lifestyle. It's quite difficult at the beginning, but once you get into it and you learn the game, everything's a game. It's all a game. Once you learn how to play the game, and help it benefit yourself, and obviously you're helping companies grow as well, and then you can get rewarded. Another thing on the finances, so you don't get a pension as a contractor, but again, it comes down to your planning. If you're planning what you're earning, not just earning and spending it all because you're earning more, you could use the additional amount to go into your pension. So the additional amount that you're getting every month could be more than what you would have been putting into your pension in a perm role, with it being matched by your employer. So you're actually putting more into your pension, and then potentially getting the 25% bonus from the government anyway. So you're actually putting more into your pension. Lots of things. It's all about just exploring the routes. It's not just I'm going to quit my job and then see what happens. It's, if I quit my job, how can I use contracting to actually progress and achieve my goals in a shorter time frame, and then also give myself a bit of free time to enjoy family life as well. So for me in particular, last year I had about 3 months off. All of it wasn't planned. One of the months I was supposed to start a contract, but they were really slow. The company was super slow with getting any of my paperwork done. So it was just a time I was just waiting for the start date, but it's absolutely fine because I had planned for it. I had financially planned for having gaps during the year, so it wasn't that much of a big deal for me. And the other 2 months I decided just to take off and just spend with my son. As you know, Luca, he's 21 months now. And it was really nice just spending time with him. So days that he wasn't at nursery, he would be with me. We were able to go to the park every day, and it's just things like seeing him grow. That it's memories that I will never forget. Do you know what I mean? And if I were, like yesterday, I needed to travel to Somerset for a client meeting. If I had to do that every day, or travel to work every day, I'd basically leave before Luca woke up, and I'd be getting home just as he's getting ready for bed, or he's already in bed. So I'd only really see him on weekends. Now, for me personally, I couldn't do that because I know for a fact our relationship would be completely different. He would see me as a different type of dad. I would see him as a completely different type, or different son, because our bond for me just wouldn't be there. And I know this isn't possible for everyone, but this is just the way that I've designed my life, and the way that I think is best for my family and for my kids as well. And this nicely leads into the next reason why people that I've spoken to are not keen on contracting and freelancing, and it's, what will my partner or members of family think if I quit my perm job? Now, this is a really quick one. I don't need to go into this one too much really. It's like, it doesn't really matter what other people think. Do you know what I mean? If you're good at what you do, you set your mind to it, you're doing all of the studying, you're doing all of the work to really progress in your career, it doesn't matter what other people think. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, you're married, and you're financially linked to someone, or someone's financially dependent on you, then obviously these conversations do matter. So talk to your partner, talk to your family. Do you know what I mean? Let them know what you're thinking. Go through your finances. If you were to have a month or 2 months off of work, would everything be okay? Would nursery fees be covered? Would the mortgage or rent be covered? Would food be covered? Would you still be able to go on holidays? Will you need to cut trips? Like, all of these things, like, create a spending, like an income outcome, but I can't even speak. create a budget. Create a budget of all of your incomings and outgoings. Like, work out what you actually need to the penny per month, and what it would mean if you weren't working for a month. Would it make a big impact on your day to day? Like, all of these things are important. So do a bit of financial planning, get a little bit savvy, have that conversation with your partner. And if they're not keen, this is what I did. So for traveling, when I was contracting for traveling, absolutely fine, because we're out of the country. I was earning a wage. It was great. We came back, and even now we're thinking about moving, thinking about buying in London. And my partner, understandably, a little bit apprehensive that I'm not in a perm role. But it's just the conversations that we've had. Sat down, just taking her through some contract job descriptions, showing the day rates, spoken about the conversations that I have, showing some of the recruiters that I work with. Do you know what I mean? Just reassuring that, even showing some of the work, some of the things that I'm working on. Just showing, being confident and showing your skills, showing your ability, showing what you're actually doing to achieve those day rates. It just likes a weight off of everyone else's shoulders. Do you know what I mean? You're proving that you can actually achieve what you're setting out to achieve, so then you can actually hit your goals. So if that's to buy a house, or if that's to go on holiday, or if that's to travel, or whatever it is, pay for a child, whatever it is, have those conversations with your significant others, family, friends, whoever you need to speak to make it happen. And the last one, I don't know where to start. Well, my answer to that is stop being busy, get out there and just start. But yeah, that's all a bit too general. But there's a bit of truth in there. There's a bit of truth in that. It is a case of literally starting, doing your research, doing your reading. But the big thing that I'd say to anyone is use LinkedIn. It's like a tool. It's such a good tool. It's got everything on there that you need to be successful in whatever career you go for. So if you wanted to work in, for example, I don't know, if you wanted to work in energy and there was a particular company you wanted to work in, you could reach out to connect to someone and just send them a message. It's that simple. If you wanted to find a mentor, you can do exactly the same thing as well. But for contracting, you can find contractors and ask them questions. Contact me. Find me on LinkedIn, Alex Martin. Find me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Ask me about contracting. Absolutely fine to answer. If I can't answer, I might be able to put you onto one of my friends that works in a sector that you potentially want to get into. Or if you're already starting but you're struggling to find roles, I might be able to direct you towards a recruiter who's looking for a particular role where you match exactly what they're looking for. What you learn is over time, it's a lot of jumping into the unknown. I didn't know how to start a business. So I went online, I watched a few videos, and I wanted to work for a limited company. I wanted my own company. So I didn't know how to do that. So again, I did some reading. I found out what you needed to do to go to company's house, to register your company. Literally cost me £12. It's that cheap to set up your own business, £12. So that was set up. And then I needed to get an accountant. I didn't know how to get an accountant. So again, I watched a few videos, spoke to a few friends. I found a really good accountant that I've been working with. And they're easy. They just make life so much easier for you. One tip I would say on that, before I go on to the next bit, is unless you've been to school and you've studied accountancy, don't even bother trying to do your accounts yourself. Like, you can if you want to get fines and you're happy getting the brown letters from HMRC come through your post all the time, go for it, do it yourself. But the reason why accountants have to go through school, the reason why they need to be chartered, like there's a reason why they do all of this. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't cost that much per month to pay for an accountant. There's lots of things that you will never know how to do. The accountancy software that you can find online, it's great for creating your invoices or tracking your business expenses. Yeah, that's great. But there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes when it comes to doing your year-end reports, come to do your self-assessment. Like, there's so many things I don't actually know, but we have a conversation, we go through my numbers. That will make sense, but I'm just so glad that I don't need to focus on that. I can literally use my time to focus on me being a data analyst. And that's it. That's all I need to focus on. I don't need to focus on actually doing the legwork of being an accountant as well. It's just a waste of time where I could be making money for myself and for my family. What else? We don't know where to start. Read books. The big thing is, like, learn how to run a company for yourself if you do go down the limited company route. But then also, like, the most important thing before even starting is just making sure that you're good at what you do and being able to do what you say you can do as well. Because as a contractor, like I said, it does take about 6 to 9 weeks to get up to speed. But you still need to know how to use certain systems. For example, I have to use Tableau, I have to use SQL. There's a couple other systems that I have to use as well. If I just blagged it and got in, then you get worked out very quickly, and then that's your reputation on the line. Don't get me wrong, there are times where you can know a limited amount of a particular tool, and you will actually be given the time to develop your knowledge, work with power users or more advanced users. And then you'll pick up tips and tricks as you go along and become better and more refined within that tool. That does happen, but you will still be expected to have an understanding of the tools if you said you can do it, especially if there isn't a technical test and it's just a one-rounder before you get placed. So yeah, do your work, do your homework, do your research, become knowledgeable, get up to speed with everything that you think you need. You don't need to know everything. That's just a number one way to delay contracting or freelancing. And that's it, really. Start speaking to people, start reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Tell your friends that you're thinking about doing this. Reaching out to recruiters on LinkedIn. That's probably the number one tip that I could have for anyone if you don't know where to start. Look for companies that specialize in placing contractors or freelancers. Start a conversation. Invite them out for a cup of coffee. Invite them just to have a phone call or a Teams or Slack or whatever. Just have a conversation with them. Become front of mind. Let them know what you're doing. Let them know why you want a contract. Let them know your terms, conditions, your day rates. Build those relationships, because I've had recruiters that I've spoken to about 12 months ago come back and say, I've had this opportunity land on my desk, Alex. Is this something that you'll be interested in? And that's all come around by just being courteous, being friendly, having a nice conversation with people, not being a complete bellend when they're messaging you or phoning you or whatever. If you're in a contract, not just hanging up straight away. It's like, look, I'm not available at the moment. The contract sounds great. But this is the situation at the moment where I am at the moment. This is my situation. Let's pick up in, say, 6 months' time and see where we are. And a lot of the time they will schedule you in if you come across like a good person. And then you can continue those conversations there as well. So I'm gonna do a full podcast on setting day rates, but just a little bit of advice. If you don't know what to put as your day rate, again, chat to friends, see if anyone is contracting, send some messages to people. They might not give you an answer, but the easiest way to find out a day rate range is, again, just look at jobs on job boards. So LinkedIn, there's loads of other job boards. Google's quite good at just aggregating all different contract jobs together as well. Look at the skills, look at the job spec, look at the description of the role, look at the skills that are required, and look at the average range of the day rates that are being offered for these particular roles. And then go for it. Go for it. And then with time, it's just a case of getting your first contract, learning the system, learning the game, learn how it all works. And then from there, you can start to build your day rate. Sometimes you might need to move sideways or backwards on your day rate. That's not a bad thing. The way that I see it is, if there's a company who's offering access to a tool that you just can't access, for example, it might cost a couple of $100,000 for this particular tool. I would take a hit on my day rate just to learn that tool. So then now I have that skill on my CV. So my next role, I can go and use this tool and I can put my day rate up. So it all kind of go hand in hand. You need to learn how to play the game, and all of these things help you to maximize your day rate. But it's just something that you learn with experience as you go along. So yeah, that's it. That's the 5 like objections I guess I get to being a contractor. I've given some reasons or ways you can actually overcome these, or why I think they shouldn't actually be objections. And it all really comes down to just putting the effort in, learning, being open to try new things. And then really and truly, that's the most important thing, literally just taking control of your career for yourself. So yeah, that's it. I don't really know what I'm going to do next week. I'm going to go through, I've got a list of ideas for future podcasts and go through. But if you have any recommendations, again, go on to my TikTok, Stop Being Busy. On any of my videos, just leave a note, a message about what you would like me to speak about. It could be anything, being a dad, health, fitness, what I'm doing to get fit. And obviously I can do loads more on contracting because this is what I do every day. So yeah, as always, stop being busy, get out there, make it happen, and I'll speak to you next time. See you later.